In today's episode, once again, we speak to the amazing Shay Aguilar. Shay is a wife, a mom, a reiki practitioner, and a realtor in Northern California. She is working on her goal of helping women who suffer from a fatherless woman syndrome identify their pain and heal the space behind their ribcage. And today, Shay is sharing with us the top 5 tips for buying your first home. Let's find out. Welcome. This is Gull, your money mindset expert. And once again, I'm so excited. I'm speaking to the wonderful, the beautiful, the charming, and a lady who I like to call my friend, Shay Aguilar. Welcome, Shay.
Thank you so much for having me, Gull.
I am super excited to be talking to you, Shay. Shay, we had such a fantastic conversation on Friday, and I'm so excited to be speaking to you today. But before we get started, please tell everybody what it is that you do.
I am lucky to be a wife and a mommy. Those are my number one priorities, but I'm also a real estate agent in Northern California.
Wonderful. And this is why our topic of discussion today is your top 5 tips for buying your next property, either your first home or your next home. So tell us, Shay, what's the first tip? So, when someone's looking to buy a property, what's the first thing they should be thinking about?
So I would definitely recommend that they research an amazing real estate agent that is skilled in their area, because that's going to really help them in negotiations, locating a property, making sure that their interest rates are okay, because sometimes us as realtors, we work with lenders that are able to get better interest rates than, their personal banks would. So number one is find a real estate agent that is very skilled in their market for their area.
Any tips on how we find that? I mean, because, if I, for example, if I go into the market now, how do I distinguish between 2 real estate agents? And they could both, they both have offices and they both sound amazing, but how do I distinguish one's better than the other?
Right. So what I do, and this is just me, I like to see people's social media platforms, only because I like to know I'm working with a human. Some people like the prim and proper, but I like the people who have actual human sides to them. So I go to social media platforms and I type real estate agents near me, and it pops up different real estate agents. But you could also go online and go to, I don't know what brokerages are in any particular area, but you could research brokerages and you could also view their agents that they have listed on their agent profile.
Okay. And then actually speak to a couple of agents and get a feel for, for them as well. I think this is very important. Get a feel for them. So, okay. So first of all, the first and foremost is, get a great real estate agent, someone that you trust to help you find the next best deal for you and negotiate on your behalf. I think that's crucial. I think this would be the number one thing that people have to do. And then once they find someone, they can continue working with them, but it has to build that honest, authentic relationship. So then what would be the next step? Step number 2.
So definitely the next would be credit. Credit is golden, and you want to make sure, and again, I don't know what the parameters are across the globe, but you want to make sure that your credit is at a level to where it can be proof that you are credit worthy. So once your credit has been established, it has been approved, your lender will be able to give you an amount to which you qualify. Once you receive that amount, it allows me as your agent to come along and show you houses that are in that parameter. And some people, they say, listen, Shay, I'm approved for $1 million, but I only want to spend $500,000. And that's fine, because at the end of the day, you have to pay that mortgage. So you want to make sure you're very comfortable with the mortgage that you're paying.
And I think this is one of the things that I think people don't think about until they're going for a mortgage. They don't really build their credit, or they have, because I know you can get bad credit from small poxy, a few hundred or even a couple of thousand pounds of, not missing bills or not paying on time or something else, or if it's disagreements. I know here our utilities, for example, my score recently went down, and I couldn't figure out why. I went and checked on one of these sites, I think Credit Karma or something, and I realized my tenant has not been paying their energy bills. Oh, no. And so basically the energy provider went bust, and a new energy provider took over. And because the tenant didn't actually contact them and didn't actually set it up and didn't pay it, they put it on the landlord's head. So it was under my head, and I had no idea, because all the letters are going to the property. And so I was coming up to default, almost to default. I'm like, I'm not even on the property. So then I had to contact the agent and like, I'm already with you on my own property. That's not my property. And I had to give the details, give the tenancy agreement and show everything and prove the fact that there's a tenant living there, not me. And the fact that I'm already paying you, look how much I'm paying you on my account, but for my own property. But things like that, if you don't keep an eye on it, and this is just randomly I checked, because I don't know what happened and made me check my credit file. And I saw something that, why is my score so low? And then I checked it because of this incident with the agency. But the reason I share this is because it wasn't a large amount. I think the default amount was probably about, it was coming to default amount because she hasn't paid for 6 months or something. And it's about 2,000, let's say £200 a month or something ridiculous. It wasn't a huge amount, yet it killed my credit score.
Yeah.
And so I think people need to be a bit more savvy. If they are looking to buy property in the next year or two, start building your credit now. I think this is something that, unless you're in property, you don't really give value or attention to.
Yes, very true.
Okay, so that's number 2. What's number 3?
Number 3, what I would always suggest is a down payment. So your down payment is calculated based on what you want to spend for your home. So you have your pre-approval amount. You've said, hey, Shay, this is what I want my house to look like, and this is the price I want to pay for my mortgage. Now, in my area, you want to save at least 3.5% if you're going with FHA. There's different types of loan platforms, but we'll just stick with an FHA loan. So with an FHA loan, you will want to save 3.5% of the purchase price on top of your closing cost. So I would suggest highly saving for a down payment. And if anyone has questions for that, please feel free to give me a call. I'm happy to walk anyone through the processes of saving for those figures.
I mean, I think this is essentially, I'm quite surprised that you can do it for 3.5%. With us in UK, the minimum is 5%, and that's only for first-time buyers. If you're buying, for first-time buyers, is 5%. It used to be 100%. Before the other mortgages, when Northern Rock was around, and you can buy 125% of the property, and ridiculousness, which cost us taxpayers a lot of money, and as property owners a lot of money, because it caused the property crash. But at the moment, we have to save 5% of first-time buyers, and I think 10% is the average for if you're moving home or on top of it. And then if you're doing buy-to-lets, if you're doing that kind of rental property, then it has to be 25% down payment. That's what we have to save. So it's quite a lot, and the interest rate we get are crazy as well in terms of if as a buy-to-let, our current base rate is around about 1.25, but the average, the last time I checked, the average buy-to-let is around about the 6% mark. I think 5.5 to 6% mark. So there's a big discrepancy, because I think our government is really actively discouraging people from having buy-to-lets, whatever it is. But it is, I think you have to, again, when you want to buy a home, you have to plan, and you have to start thinking early on. One of my goals. So initially, I was thinking of paying my daughter's uni fees, and I can't remember who I spoke to, and they said, "Why do you want to pay your school fees? Let her pay for that herself and take the responsibility for it. If you want to pay for anything, use that as a deposit and buy her a home instead. Start a home or something, and get her on the property ladder." Put responsibility on her, but make her responsible for her uni fees, so that she knows she has to get a job and to pay it back. And I thought that's a great way to put financial responsibility on the shoulder of a young adult, rather than living off mommy and mommy paying for everything and not appreciating. But it's something that you have to plan. So I'm already thinking, okay, how much was my budget? What I'm going to save up for her as a first-time buyer, because obviously I'll sign on as a guarantor as well for her. Okay, so that's tip number 3. What's the next thing that we should be looking at?
So once you get your approval, you've gotten your platform, meaning what loan specific platform you're going to have. Then you start shopping. Now,
okay, so you only then do you start shopping. Okay.
Well, this is the steps I take, because I like my buyers to be empowered while they're shopping. I don't want them to say, Shay, what's this? Or, it's step by step. I'm holding your hand. So in my case, this is what I do with my buyers. Then we shop once you're fully comfortable with everything. So location. I tell because in the state of California, we can't steer anyone in any direction. We can't say, oh, this is not a good area for you to live in, or this is not a good area at all. We can't say things like that. So I always tell my clients, you need to do your research. Go online. I think there's like neighborhoodwatch.com, and it allows you to research the people who live in the area, the statistics of the area. Because I tell my clients, you want to make sure that this neighborhood is going to suffice you for at least 5 years. So that's what I recommend doing next, is making sure that the neighborhood is something that's going to make them happy to live in.
So they have to research the location they wish to stay. I think that's the key, that you have to figure out, what location you want to buy in, and and once you have the budget in mind, you can. Do you give any support in terms of, should it be near schools? Should it be near hospitals? Anything else like that? Do you give them that kind of advice?
Definitely, but that's all case by case, because what's green for one person would be purple for the next.
Agreed.
So I like to make sure that I know my clients and what their needs are. So that way, when we do see a house, I'll tell them, well, you told me you want to be next to a school. The nearest school is 10 miles away. So it's case by case, but definitely to let your agent know what you want.
I think, but a lot of time people don't know what they want. This is why I'm bringing this up, because a lot of people would say, really, I'm not really sure. Do you want a 3-bed or 4-bed? Maybe 3, maybe 4, depends on the budget, depends how much I can get for it. And I know this because I can imagine the kind of the conversations these poor agents would be having, because there's a lack of understanding of what they can buy. There's a lack of understanding how much they can get for their money, and there's a lack of understanding why certain areas are more expensive than others. And 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 sometimes it's just because of the demographics of that place. I mean, I know that I moved from Dagenham, and Dagenham is one of the poorest boroughs of London. I think it's probably the poorest borough in London, if I'm not mistaken. And but if you look at it, yes, there are small houses, but it's clean, the roads are wide, and you think it's there's a lot of high crime. But I lived there for a number of years, and touch wood, till this day I didn't suffer any kind of consequences. So I think people do need to do their own research, not go by hearsay or what other people say. You need to research. I think there's 2 types of research. You have to research one, for if you're going to make that home your home, and do a different type of research if you're going to keep that as a buy-to-let. And then also if you're doing a buy-to-let, then it has to be, what kind of buy-to-let? Are you doing it to professionals? Are you aiming for families? Or are you aiming as HMOs? You have to decide that too, what is your target audience for that as well. But definitely research the area and research where you want to live, and then let your agent know all of that information. Assuming
it's very important to take your time, right? Because even though you're approved, that's great. But I always tell my people, take your time, do your research. I'm going to be here, right? This is my job and I love it. I'm going to be here to facilitate and give you exactly what you need, but take your time to find your pain points, find what makes you happy, because you want to be happy paying your mortgage. So definitely locate a home that's going to do that.
Yeah. And I think taking your time is probably the key here, and knowing the fact that you can. I mean, you should be able to. And at the moment, okay, we're currently in the market, especially in the UK at the moment. It's a seller's market. And I think before we started the camera, you said, things are changing in where you are, and it's slowly going from a seller's market, and it's turning towards going to be eventually end up going to be buyer's market because of the interest rate hikes. And I'm sure if that's happening to you, we're having interest rate hikes here too. So we probably have a similar scenario here too. But having said that, still do your research and be patient. That's the key. And then what would be the last tip? What would be the last step for you?
So the last step was what I like to call happily ever after. And what that is to get your little nest pot of saving or reserves that you could keep for if you have your property and God forbid something happens, you have that reserve to help, fix those issues. I also like to recommend my clients to get a home warranty protection, at least for the first year, because they could lean heavily on that home warranty protection to make sure if something does happen, they could reach out to the home warranty protection and ask them to come out and fix it.
Oh,
depending on the protection plan, of course.
I don't know if we have that in UK.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think we have that. I've never heard that before, Shay. That's one of the biggest fears that we have when you're buying. The buyers beware. We have to do a due diligence ourselves. We have to do the surveys and everything else ourselves to make sure we pick up anything that's wrong with the property beforehand. Because once the property is done, it's our responsibility, and there's no kind of warrant, not that I'm aware of at the moment, any kind of warranty that we can take out in case, for example, we buy and the next thing there's a damp in one of the rooms, or the boiler is completely going off the rails or something like that. I don't think there is one, but if somebody's listening to this and there is, do correct me if I'm wrong. But as far as I know, and I am in the property space, I don't think there is such thing, which is
let me know if you find out, because that would be truly interesting to know that you wouldn't be able to warranty your property. Because like you said, you do the due diligence, which I highly recommend. I always tell my clients, when we do our inspections, please be there, because I want you to kick the tires, if you will. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Turn on the air conditioner. I want you to be there so you can witness these things and ask questions. So yeah, do your due diligence for sure. But then there's that added layer of protection with not only your reserves, but also your home warranty protection.
I wonder if building insurance is what you're talking about, because we do have building insurance. Building insurance. We have something called
do have building insurance?
We have building insurance and we have contents insurance. But I think that's different from what you're saying to us. I'm not sure if this is covered. Maybe.
Yeah, because with our home warranty protection, it covers things like if your refrigerator goes out, or if your pipes leak, or if it's totally different from your building insurance, I believe.
Okay. So then I think we do have those things, but the individual. So, like for example, in my home, in my rental properties, I've covered the refrigerators. I've covered the washing machine. I've covered the gas and electrics are covered by some things, but they're all individual. It's not under
with the manufacturer.
No, with it's with another company that insures the white goods, and then I have the gas and thing is done with British Gas. Their monthly plan, which is quite expensive, really expensive, but it covers me for plumbing, electrics, and gas as well. And that's how I've covered it. But it's all different. It's not under one umbrella. It's just
one
individual.
umbrella.
Yeah, it's individual different things. So that's what how we have it. But it's but I'm still thinking, if my, God forbid, my roof broke or something, it's going to be, who would be covered, if I'd be covered or not, because the insurance companies are innately, have a way of getting out of paying.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what our home warranty protections cover. As long as you have, they have different types of platforms. And as long as you've elected the one that covers those things, they'll cover it for you.
Yeah, it's worth knowing. But again, it's being aware of these things and making sure that you have taken as much, this is a calculated risk, and you've taken as many precautions as possible. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, we know we can never take 100% precaution against everything, but this would be some way that you work towards. Okay, so if we wrap this up, what would be the parting comment in terms of what advice can you give to someone who's looking to buy the next home?
I would make sure that it's something that is financially doable, because you don't want to put yourself out there. And if it is, then find a real estate agent who is going to guide you hands down and give you the best advice ever, because that's our job. And people like me love it.
Awesome. Fantastic. Thank you so much. So Shay, tell us, how can we connect with you? Where can we find you?
Well, I'm on Facebook under Shay Aguilar, and then my real estate website is shayaguilar.com.
Wonderful. And if you are listening to us on the podcast, the links that Shay just mentioned will be in the show notes. And if you're watching us on YouTube, then down below in the description section, we'll have the links to her too. Go check her out, especially if you're in California and you're looking for a place. She is amazing. And I do know her personally, so she's fabulous. So do connect with her. And thank you, Shay, for being such an amazing guest and for sharing your tips and ideas about buying a new property. And thank you for your wisdom.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you for listening to me and Shay today on Money Talkies. I will be back on another Money Talkies segment with another amazing guest, finding out how you and I can build a better business. Until the next time we meet, this is Gull signing off. Take care and bye for now.